Wouldn't necessarily say that the pressure is on for Nicolas Cage, but some of his works recently, most would probably consider to be, fallen off. I enjoyed quite a few of them, but it's hard when you have to look up to Face Off, National Treasure, Rock. But honestly, who better to act as Nicolas Cage than Nicolas Cage?
Whoa, Cage!
As usual, yada yada yada. I'll avoid spoilers as best I can, but I don't promise anything. So let's start this movie off with the cons. My first complaint, honestly, it's self-aware and ironic. That's kind of the whole body of the movie. Um, and while it's not necessarily a con in itself, you have to be expecting that as a viewer. Um, I don't think everyone in the theater was because somebody left the theater after the first act. Um, and that leads me into my next point. The opening was a little slow and a little fast. I didn't mind it too much, but it felt weird. The jump cuts they had were good, but the pacing felt like it was a little confused, honestly. Um, and I don't think that was necessarily the best look. Also, I want to, interject here. I'm fine with curse words. I don't have a problem with it. But this movie makes heavy use of the word fuck in the first 20 minutes. I mean, it was I think I'm pretty sure I didn't make this up in my head, but I'm pretty sure I heard somebody audibly sigh after like the 45th fuck in the first 20 minutes. Um it's a lot. It's a lot. That's also the person who left the theater, so maybe that's really what bothered him. Another con to me is that the cinematography really wasn't as good as I expected from the film. It felt one dimensional, I think is a good word for it. Phrase one dimensional, and it just a little antiquated. It's a newer film. I mean, it was filmed recently. It's not bad, and it's not always bad to have one dimensional or antiquated, cinematography. I just didn't expect that. You know, this is supposed to be the, I guess, movie for Nicolas Cage, and I expected just a little bit else. But for my last con, one that probably bothered me the most is his stunt double is so recognizable that it's a little jarring. I mean, there's multiple scenes where you're like, that's definitely not Nick Cage. Not even because of the action they're performing, but because that's not Nick Cage. Not even close. Honestly, I say that out loud, and I'm thinking, it is a self aware, ironic film. Maybe that's the point. Maybe I've missed that. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. But for me, that felt too on the nose. Like that, I don't think that was a joke. I think it was just bad. But for the pros, it's self aware and ironic. I was expecting that, and it fully delivered on that. Jokes were on the nose and very well. They had great delivery and poise from the characters. I think it was really an exceptional, you know, ironic film. But speaking of the characters, let's be honest here. They all crushed it. Especially Nicolas Cage and Pablo Pascal. I mean, it feels like outside of theaters or outside of filming, these two might actually be best friends. I can easily see them sharing beers in their backyard 4 nights a week. Their chemistry is undeniable and they play off each other so well. And I want to be honest, I think this is Pablo's best acting performance ever. I mean, this was arguably perfection on his end. Not saying, Nick Cage did anything wrong. It's his movie and he did perform amazing. But Pablo is on a different level here. I already think Pablo Pascal has great emotional range and body language, and I think it was perfectly showcased here. Also, I have to highlight here a new crush, Abby something, Abby Sheen, I think. Oh my gosh, is she related to Charlie Sheen? I didn't even look that up. Either way, I have a new crush now. It's it's getting serious. Also to say the dissection of the acts, felt good. It didn't feel awkward. I appreciate how they introduced and shadowed a lot of the movie, leaning into the irony that they were building. Um, and it was definitely unique and something that I think is maybe not missing from the movie industry, but isn't done enough. And lastly, the plot, without spoiling anything, it's just enjoyable. It's friendly, it's funny, it's very well written. I mean, honestly, chef's kiss. I was impressed that this plot was as decent as it was, that it had some integrity on its own. Overall, this feels like the quintessential Nicolas Cage film, and I feel bad saying that, but it is a movie about Nicolas Cage and his massive and unbearable talent, which he's got a lot of. But it just felt, I mean, like this is something he's probably been dying to create, and I don't even know if he created it, honestly. But it felt like it's something he created. It felt like something that he poured his heart and soul into and spent a lot of time envisioning what this would be. They took risk in other works, but this movie's just a breath of fresh air, and I think something that's needed in this comedy genre. As a self-proclaimed movie critic, I think I have to give it like a 7. I don't think I think the main driver of that number is the fact that it's probably not easily accessible to a lot of people. And I don't mean that as in, it's a movie. I mean, anyone can watch it and gain. Yeah, anyone can watch a movie and gain something from it. But a lot of this movie is making fun of other movies. It's ironic. It's self-aware. I've said that multiple times now. There are things that are showcased and said in this movie that I think actually require you to be a moviegoer. Like you can't casually watch a movie and then come into this and understand everything. I'll watch it again and I will pick up on things that I missed. It's solid. It's good. But I think as a self-proclaimed movie critic, I can't give it any higher than a 7 because you're already ostracizing part of the audience. But personally, for me, I'm somewhere in the 8 to 8.5 range. And that feels a little high for what the movie is. And maybe I'm only giving it that high of a rating because this is not something we see a lot. But it was good. It was enjoyable. I was laughing in the theater. It it seemed like everyone had a great time from the audience to the actual cast. And as I mentioned before, Pablo Pascal really put on an extraordinary act for this movie. Nicolas Cage as well. I'm just highlighting how fantastic Pablo was. I think, like I said, it's the quintessential Nicolas Cage film, and that is hard to say because it's been a while since I've watched The Rock and Face Off and you know his old classics. But this is something that I think you can look at and easily put in his top 5, arguably probably top 3. And to me, it really showcases his true range of talent as an actor and as an embodiment of what Nicolas Cage is. A very unique and revered actor. Either way, that'll make it for this one. Um, Next review we're gonna put out is actually a Phantom Event film that I went and saw recently. Um, It's called Pompo the Cinephile. I just watched it. I will save my rating for the next recording, but um, for those of you who like unique events and movies and like to make an event of going to the theater. You know, Phantom Events, no ad, not sponsored, but I've really been enjoying going to their special showings. And that's all I'll say on it. I'm sure I'll rant about it in the next video. But until then, let me know what you liked, didn't like. Let me know how you felt about the movie if you watched it. Um, but thank you all for your support.